All right, we'll move on to the next topic now. This is something that was requested by Pierce. I think you're excited about this. It's Nina Turner. She was on TYT the other day. They did like a Bernie bash episode, rather than to talk about more important issues like what's happening to Julian Assange. But I'm gonna go ahead and play that clip.
I am. I mean, there are lots of people that I hear from all the time from all over this country who want me to consider running again. It's always something that is on my list. But for this moment, I'm going to continue to help progressive candidates, progressive causes. I'm also going to continue to navigate the racial justice space. To do those things, so we need corporations to come on through. Now, they come through for themselves and the tax breaks and how they lobby Congress. We need them to come on through for the people. And there is a way to get some of those corporations to do that, especially on the justice side. Since the killing of George Floyd, we know that a number of corporations have pledged a whole lot of money for racial justice. Let's see if they can do that. So I'm also going to put some of my talent on that side. But absolutely strong consideration for 2024.
All right, my panel. Do you guys have any comments? Should we be focusing on the next presidential savior, or should we be focusing on other issues right now? Like, should we take action right now to change things, or should be like praising like the next savior for who's going to run for president?
So I think that if there was actually a president that was trying to do good in America, I think that their agenda would be constantly and consistently thwarted by the powers that be, both elected and unelected in the American government. I don't want to sound more excited for this than I actually am. I guess I was just making the argument this week, or rather after hearing this announcement, to liberals and progressives and leftists that are like, I'm going to vote for Joe Biden because lesser evil and harm reduction. I think that having the chance to perhaps vote for someone like a Nina Turner during the primary in 2024, it kind of it's like if you were voting for harm reduction, if you were voting for lesser evil, you have to think about the possibility that this year you're voting for Kamala Harris, and in 4 years you could be voting for Kamala Harris if she wins the presidency. I'm saying her because I don't think that Joe Biden's going to be really there for the presidency. I think he's like kind of the masthead, but I think in terms of actually doing like the work of the president, I don't think it's going to be Joe Biden. Something just tells me that. I think it's going to be like Wall Street and like Kamala Harris. I think so. I guess just to wrap up what I'm saying, I was excited, not like super excited for this, but I would rather vote for a black woman that like cares about workers as opposed to like voting for Joe Biden and a black woman that doesn't.
Yeah, like on paper I would, but then we have to think about like all the crises that are happening right now, and all the rigging that happened this election. With the Shadow app, the DNC emails that leaked in 2016. Like, things look like they were only exacerbated. Too bad we didn't have WikiLeaks during this primary season, in which we probably could have seen more evidence of rigging happening now. So I kind
of want to respond to that. Like, I get it. Like, the DNC fought against Bernie Sanders both times he ran for president. I think that honestly, I think I would take Nina Turner in that fight more than I would take Bernie Sanders. Like, I think that Bernie Sanders is too young for how long of a successful political career he has. He didn't really have much to lose in 2016 or 2020, and he kind of let everyone down. I think Nina Turner would come in hot with like kind of making people aware of this stuff. And yeah, I get it. There's I think Dak disagrees with even talking about this topic, that it kind of subsumes other more important things that are going on right now. I mean, I just don't really think that electoral politics is that important this year. And I don't think it's exclusionary to like think about 2024 while also thinking about the stuff that we need to deal with in 2020.
Yeah, I'll give you that, Pierce. I think that she would make a bigger fuss out of any rigging or injustice that's happening during the primaries than Bernie was. Like, Bernie just bent over and let the DNC do anything. So Dak and Christy, what do you guys think?
I can understand why someone would want to vote for Nina Turner.
Mm-hmm.
The issue I have is with these people who are spending all of their time fantasizing about these presidential campaigns of the future. Like these people who actually think that Nina Turner has a chance of winning in 2024, or that a certain other progressive, you know the woman I'm talking about, how she's going to run in 2024 and win. They remind me of little kids filling out coloring books. I think that would probably be a more productive and rewarding activity than actually thinking that a legitimate progressive is going to win the White House in 4 years' time. I think it's a fantasy. I think it's childish. I think it's narcissistic. And I think it's inappropriate because, in case we haven't noticed, the entire empire that we live in is collapsing. Like, it's falling apart day by day at a very rapid pace. And we have serious issues here. We have Julian Assange in prison. We have the economy is being dismantled deliberately by the powers that be. We have William Barr getting ready to throw people in prison for having the kinds of conversations that we're having right now. And the idea that we should be putting our efforts, much less our money, towards a future presidential campaign, I think it's just the height of immaturity. I think it's inappropriate, and I think it's tasteless. And when I see people doing that on Twitter, fantasizing about who's going to run in 4 or 8 years, I just wonder what it's going to take for them to figure out what the score is.
Yeah, I agree. Like, on paper, like, if I would vote for Nina Turner if she was the best candidate, but I'm not going to be obsessing over it right now because, like you said, we need to focus on the issues that are happening right now. We need to try to change things right now because we saw what happened in 2016 when we waited. We were like, oh, 2020, that'll be the year and everything will change. And I'll be honest, I was a little bit guilty about this because I wasn't that politically invested. I was like, oh, Bernie's going to be there in 2020. And then that's like, he had all that momentum and it's only going to build up. So I want to hear your thoughts, Christy. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's like, it's sort of a way for our trauma of going through these elections that we can't acknowledge it when we just try to skip forward to the next election and we don't want to actually face the consequences of this election, of these primaries, of these two choices right now. We don't want to talk about the issues we have right now. We just want to fantasize about what's going to come. It's all going to be better. And we sort of delude ourselves into thinking that, in 4 years, everything is just going to somehow magically allow the candidate of our choosing to really take over and make everything better. And I think when we do that, we're not looking for constructive ways to make things better now in the present. And that's all we have control over right now is doing things now.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So my message to everybody is focus now. Stop fantasizing on like a hero that's going to come save you. I say it on my show a lot. You are the hero in your story. You are the one that's going to influence people. So get out there and get more active, get informed. There's so much information out there for you to consume so that you can take action and make the changes happen now. So any last words before we move on to the next topic here about
Turner? I did like this topic just as like another kind of stick to hit people over the head with who are thinking about voting for Joe Biden in the sort of sense that it's going to like make things better. I would ask people to think of where we were kind of at the end of the Barack Obama presidency. I think kind of some of the more substantial things that have happened, or rather would have happened with a continuation of a Barack Obama presidency in Hillary Clinton, would have been like, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, possibly worse relationships with North Korea. Perhaps we would have kept the Iran deal. So, I mean, in a certain sense, this current administration has made things worse. The Trans-Pacific Partnership is like a really complicated issue. I don't know exactly where I stand on it, but I'm just kind of trying to recall where we were at the end of 2016. And, people think that Donald Trump and his administration have put us in a worse place now in 2020. But just kind of remember what a continuation of the Barack Obama presidency would have looked like as well. And I see these two tracks that America is flipping between, the neoliberal track and the conservative track, and they're not helpful. So in the sort of sense where our democracy is constrained by these two tracks being our only choices, I already have very little faith in electoral politics. But I do think it's fun to, hit liberals over the head with that want to, return to normalcy. And, the arc of history is long, but it bends towards justice. Like all this kind of Obama talk, I'm so tired of it. And I would just love to see Obama's legacy fail miserably. Him ushering in 8 years of Trump because he's just so inept and, just really disappointing as a, running as a progressive and being who he actually was, expanding the wars, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, I think it would just be that was my thing. I just think it would be funny to watch Nina Turner hit some, conservative that's going to be less adequate at arguing over the head in 2024. But maybe it is kind of like a moral mistake of mine to even fantasize about the future when we are going through stuff for the next 4 years that we can't undo with a fantasy about 4 years in the future right now.
I've actually got one last thing to say, just because I was reminded of this. I saw this on Twitter earlier. Pierce mentioned that the arc of history is long. The arc of history is very long indeed, because earlier today we were reminded that in 1844, the Democrats ran a slave owner named James Polk against the Whigs' presidential nominee, a slave owner named Henry Clay. And apparently there was propaganda at the time saying that the Whigs were warning people, and this is an exact quote, every vote that is thrown for Mr. Bernie, who was the nominee of the Liberty Party, which was anti-slavery, every vote that is thrown for Mr. Bernie is in fact a vote for Mr. Polk. No matter how nice the conscience, no matter how good the intent, the man who votes for Mr. Bernie, should he view the matter in its right light and true bearing, cannot wash his hands from the guilt of promoting the cause of slavery in the United States. That was 160 plus years ago, and you can see that we are no smarter today than we were back then. I will be writing in Julian Assange this November. If there's really nothing anybody can do to convince me to vote for Joe Biden, if Donald Trump wants to pardon or drop the charges against Assange between now and November, I will vote for Trump. But that aside, no, I'm going to be writing in a person who's not even eligible to be an American president. And that is how much respect I have for the political process in this country.